Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be interesting. So let's get on with it, folks. Who built the Matrix? And which Matrix are we talking about here? Which Matrix are we referring to? Because that term, the Matrix, gets thrown around so frequently, and whenever somebody throws it around, they're referring to a certain aspect of the Matrix, perhaps. Okay? So when I watched The Matrix, I was a little kid. So I just loved the visual aspect of it, the slow motion and the dodging of the bullets and all that cool stuff, you know? And I guess I was a kid, so I picked up on something in there, but I didn't know it consciously. And then I watched it again back in 2014 when I was stuck in a matrix. Now, which matrix was it? I was in the socioeconomic matrix. I was working a full-time job. This was, I was doing an internship. I was working in an oil company. Yeah, an oil company, because I was doing a chemical engineering intern. I have an illustrious, glorious degree in chemical engineering, and I know everything about chemical engineering, and I didn't cheat at all. I didn't copy assignments at all, by the way, at all. And I got A's in every subject. So I was working a full-time job then, and I was working in an oil company. And I was frustrated, angry, pissed off. I remember I started listening to Eminem like all the time then, because I was so angry, so frustrated. I felt like there were shackles here, shackles. So my friend, my roommate at the time, God bless his soul, Ishpreet, one love, brother, and he was feeling the same thing. So he said, well, that's how it is in the Matrix. I said, yeah? He said, yeah, you gotta watch that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I watched it when I was a kid. He says, no, let's watch it again. So we watched it together. And then we had after then we had an inside joke. Mr. Anderson, right? So that was like our inside joke, because it's a funny thing in the Matrix, right? Anyway, and since then I was like, man, this is it. This is bullshit. That's the Matrix. And I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. Why am I working? Why is everybody working? I want to get up and I want to go and get some sun and walk and smell the roses. Why the fuck am I here working some boring ass job, doing some boring ass useless shit on Excel, when I could be bathing in the glory of God, getting some of that sun, smelling the roses, and just hanging out, chilling, going to the gym, doing what I love? Why am I doing this? So then my definition of the Matrix became the socioeconomic definition, and that is at one level, and it is one layer of the Matrix, okay, because the Matrix is multi-layered. Now if you take Morpheus's definition in the movie, he tells Neo that essentially the Matrix is everything that is around you. That's even another layer of the Matrix, which includes the socioeconomic matrix. Okay? That's what the Hindus refer to as Maya, illusion. The dream state, the dream world. And that's the Matrix in all its encompassing everything that is within the Matrix. That is, your physical body is part of the Matrix. Everything that you perceive of with your five senses is part of the Matrix. That is third density, essentially. Third density experience. Okay, if you're going to look at it, the Matrix, in its broader definition, is the third density. It's the world of the five senses. It's everything that you perceive of, that you experience with your five physical senses, and all the laws, so-called laws, which can be transcended, so they're not really laws, but they're relative laws. The laws of gravity, like, the laws of I eat, I shit, the physical laws. Okay? Third density. That's the broader term, that's the broader definition of the Matrix. So, then who built the Matrix? Well, which matrix are we referring to? Are we referring to the entire thing, the entire experience, which is nothing more than a dream, nothing more than an illusion? Are we referring to the socioeconomic matrix? Now, let's talk about the socioeconomic matrix. That's basically the human world and that everything, that human activity. Socioeconomic matrix is human activity. So, what is the socioeconomic matrix? Well, the 9 to 5 system that we have going on here, the work system. No matter where you go in the world, you just have to do a little bit of traveling. It's the same. It's the same everywhere. People get up in the morning and they go to their jobs, and in the evening they go back and they repeat for between anywhere from 5 to 7 days a week. Most people here in Thailand work 6 and sometimes every day. The lady I go to get to for the tom yum soup, the delicious tom yum soup, she works every day. She's there 7 days a week, and she gets up and she does her business, and she's open from 10 in the morning until like 9 in the evening. She's working. Granted, her place of business is her home also, because her home is right there. Nevertheless, she's working, and she's tired. She's a lovely, sweet lady. She's tired. You see it in her. Very gentle. She's just always tired. Of course, take a toll on you, a lifetime of this. Everywhere you go, this is the way human beings are taught to behave, to live their lives. Okay, that's the socioeconomic matrix. I'm gonna get up, I have a place of business or a job, I make money, and then with that money I buy what I need. I buy shelter, I buy food, I buy drink, I give the people that I love, my tribe, my family, I give them what they need, what they want. Okay, that's basically the involvement of the money system in a society. Thus it is known as the socioeconomic matrix, the socioeconomic machine. And that matrix is built by the reptilians. Okay, the reptilians are fourth density beings, negative beings from the constellation Orion. That socioeconomic matrix as it is now, which is based on essentially consumption and capitalism, really. So constant taking from the earth for selfish reasons, for to create illusions, illusionary needs, illusionary wants. People think they need a car. Why do you need a car actually? Because I need to get to my job. Well, why do you need to get to your job? So I could get money. Why do you need to get money? So I could buy food, so I could buy shelter. Well, we got this thing called nature. I mean, foods grow in the wild, so you could go get foods from there, by the way. You don't really need to do all of that. And you don't really actually need a car. You just maybe need to go find you a spot, maybe build you a nice shelter or something. You don't actually even need shelter. You don't need any of this stuff. Wow, really? So I don't need a car, I don't need a house, I don't need a mortgage. That's the socioeconomic matrix. And so of course it is self-destructive, but that's the Orion agenda, that's the reptilian agenda. So that socioeconomic matrix is built by the reptilians, by the negative forces, by the negative aspect of creation, the negative aspect of God. That's the fourth density negative beings. And their gig is self-interest, and they like conquest, they like power and destruction. That's their thing. That's how they get off. That's how they get energetically fed. Okay? The more suffering, the more destruction there is within this matrix. Okay? And I will talk about the bigger matrix in a second. The greater illusion. The more destruction there is, the more suffering there is, the more crying, the more sadness, the more anger, the more frustration, the more these entities in the fourth density are fed. So they feed on it. They feed off of it. So these beings, when they see somebody addicted to cigarettes and booze and junk food, they hang around that person all day long, day and night, because they know that person is suffering. They feel it, and they take that suffering, because if you're constantly smoking cigarettes and drinking booze and eating junk food, you're suffering. It'll be always pain, always anger, frustration, headaches, tension all over. Your organs are crying, and you're like, So suffering, there's the negative entities. So they orchestrated the socioeconomic matrix, And so I believe the Freemasons refer to the creator of the matrix, this matrix that we're talking about specifically, the socioeconomic matrix, as the great architect. The Masons are huge on architecture. Even it's in their symbol, right? They're huge on math and geometry, and they call the architect the great architect. Now, let's talk about the greater matrix here, the bigger matrix. That is the world of senses, essentially. That is everything around you. That's what Morpheus talks about in the Matrix. He refers to Neo, says it's everything around you. It emanates through everything. That's the third density experience. And the builder of that matrix is actually a combination. It isn't one God per se, it isn't one deity, one entity, one specific alien race. It is actually a combination, because this Earth experience, this third density Earth experience, it's a big experiment. And many extraterrestrial races have come and gone and have left their imprints on human DNA, on the Earth's DNA, on the animal's DNA. And so you get this mixture, right? This mixture. Now, you got the Gnostics, the Christians. They essentially believe that it's the demiurge, it's a very negative entity who built this matrix, and so to them it's a renunciation of everything in the matrix, the whole thing, right? The whole thing. It's renouncing it. Now, hear me out. There definitely is some influence from negative entities, also known as Orion, Reptilians, in the construction of the overall matrix, the whole thing. Okay, not just the socioeconomic part, but the whole thing. Right? I'm talking about all of life, the fusion of the four elements, everything on planet Earth, the species on planet Earth, everything, the DNA code, the genetic lines. But they're actually just a small part of a much greater experiment that has been going on for eons on planet Earth, involving far too many extraterrestrial groups. So, to understand this more clearly, take a look at the cat group, for example, and compare them to the reptiles. So take a look at your lions, tigers, pet cats, wild cats, cheetahs, panthers, jaguars, the cat group, and then take the reptiles, snakes and crocodiles and alligators and lizards and all things that crawl, and look how different these two species are. That's because these two species exist on this planet because their respective extraterrestrial groups have been involved in this experiment at some point or other. So the cat group is an outgrowth of the experimentations of the Lyrians. The Lyrians are these extraterrestrial groups, and they're cats. They stand on 2 feet, but they're cats. Okay? These are the same deities the Egyptians worshipped, by the way. The Egyptians were in contact, the ancient Egyptians were in contact with the Lyrians. Okay? And that's why they worshipped the cat. And if you look at the cat, it was very much humanoid, but it had a cat head to it. Okay? So they've been involved. They've been involved in the experimentations that have been going around here on the planet for eons. So have been the Reptilians. Now, the Lyrians are a positive group. They're positively oriented. The Reptilians are negatively oriented. So then also you've got the reptiles here, which is the result, an outgrowth of the experimentations and the interference of that group as well, the Reptilians. And you had the dinosaurs 65 million years ago, and I heard that, the Reptilians are all pissed off, and they think, this planet belongs to us, and they really were pissed off that the dinosaurs got extinct, etc. So, that's as far, so that's just a little example. Then, Look at human beings. Look how vastly different we are than the rest of the animal kingdom. Now we are like this super mixture, this super experiment, because the Anunnakis came down and they tinkered with our DNA. And there are many theories. Some say the Anunnaki are also part of the Orion group, not the Reptilians, but they're part of the Orion group and they're negatively oriented. Others say they're a mix. You got Enlil and Enki. One is positive and has, benevolent, looks at humanity with benevolence. The other is benevolent. So many theories, so many different theories. But the Anunnakis, they came down. You could see the paintings on the ancient Sumerian tablets. Okay, you could see pictures of like giants with beards that look like humans, but they're just like 10 feet tall, just big giants. And you could see us little monkeys, and you could see them like tickering, doing something in there, doing something with the human, with this monkey. And so then humans have definitely some interference with the Anunnakis. But then also we have the reptilian brain. The reptilian brain, you see? That's the result of the involvement of the reptilians in the creation, the manifestation of the human being. But then also we have the neocortex, it's called, right? The higher mind, the contemplative mind. And that is probably, my speculation, is the result of the interference of more benevolent beings. Because this is our capacity to contemplate, to rise above our basic instincts. And so there's also Pledian interference with this, with the human design as well. And the interference from more benevolent groups as well. So you see the human is very complex. Very complex, right? Very, very complex. We got the reptilian brain, then we've got this, this higher mind, rational mind, contemplative mind, and then we have the emotions. Like, what is going on? Very complex being, because there's been a lot of interference, a lot of tinkering, and a lot of writing and rewriting in the human genome from God knows how many groups. Okay? Then you have, like, look at the dogs, for example, the dog world, the wolves. The wolves, originally it's the wolves. Look how different they are from the cat group, then the reptiles, then the birds. Look at the variety of species on the planet. That's because you have the insects, insectoids, by the way. There's like an extraterrestrial group, insectoids. Okay? And there's theories that they're active on the moon and on Mars. We got insects. We got all kinds of cool things here that are all just an outgrowth, a result of the interference at some point or other, for positive, for negative, for better, for worse. We're not here to discuss that. We're simply pointing out that the variety, the versatility of life organisms that you see on this planet is due to all this experimentation that's been going on this planet, in this 3D, third dimensional Earth experience. So the builders of this matrix, as it turns out to be, is all these different extraterrestrial groups, and with all varying agendas. Some are benevolent, some are malevolent, some are self-serving, some are serving others. It really depends on the level of evolution and the orientation of that particular group that came here and did their experiments physically and then telepathically as well, via sending us thoughts, inventions, ideas, this and that, etc. So that's the greater matrix. That's the world of senses. That's what the Hindus refer to as Maya, illusion. It is an illusion. It is a game. It is a dream. It's an experiment. And Earth is a free will zone. And because it's a free will zones in the universe often attract a wide range of groups, because it's free will. You can come here and you could experiment with it. And as long as you respect the law of free will, of course, a lot of the negative groups do not respect the free will, but then they get chased off by, the managers in the amusement park and the guardians and you know, etc., etc. The confederation and stuff like that. So funny things going on there. So free will zones attract the attention of a wide range of groups because you come here and you experiment. You know, you could experiment, you could do some genetic experiments as long as there's an agreement, you know, as long as the other agrees. And so there are cosmic loopholes around it. Some of these negative groups have been able to find it. But essentially any soul that comes here agrees. It's a free will zone. So you agreed to come here. I agreed to come here. Your dog agreed to come here. Everybody agreed to come here. It's a free will zone. And yeah, free will zones attract the attention of a wide range of groups, for better or worse, right? And that's who built the Matrix. So it's not one specific. So the Gnostics will say, well, it's the demiurge. It's all evil. No. That's just a small part of it. Okay, the Masons say it's the great architect. You know, and well, that's also, you know, one aspect, one influential part of what's going on, one influential builder amongst many. So it is an ongoing experiment. So there's still intervention here. Okay, there's still interference. We all know the United States government is in bed with the Greys and with the Reptilians, and most UFO phenomena are either Greys or Reptilians, because the Confederation mostly sends its people here in the form of wanderers and communicates telepathically. The Orion group also does, but from time to time they'll also pop in physically, you know, in physical contact. Yeah, it's a pretty cool place to be in, you know, from the perspective of a curious and amused observer. And that I am for sure. I am a curious and amused observer. I am very much amused by the drama. I am polarized to the light side, of course. I can't help it. I work for the Confederation. But just because I work for the Confederation and just because I am here, in a way, you know, fighting the other side, in a way, just by being the light, you automatically dispel the darkness. Like turning on light in a dark room. But I don't have to be angry or resentful. I am quite amused, ladies and gentlemen. I am quite amused. And curious. I really want to learn more. Like, okay, you know, it's starting to make sense here. That's why we've got insects, we've got cats, we've got dogs, we've got reptiles, we've got birds. We've got all this variety of life. Oh, then you have, you know, how do we not talk about the plant kingdom? You've got trees and then you've got mushrooms. Mushrooms seem so alien, by the way. Mushroom chemistry, molecular chemistry, seems so alien to the Earth. It seems like it doesn't fit here. Now, for sure, psilocybin mushrooms, for sure, it's a probe sent to us because it survives conditions in space. It survives vacuum. Psilocybin mushroom, you can send it to space, and it's cool. It's totally cool. It can literally go from like one side of the cosmos to another. It can travel through space. Clearly, psilocybin is alien technology sent to Earth. It's alien, like it clearly. But you can see it even in the plant kingdom, that the wide variety of different things that grow. It's all the result of all these different experiments that have been ongoing, that have been gone in the past, in the distant past, that are still ongoing. And it's a really cool place to be in, and it's very cool to, it starts to make sense. Like, oh, that's why we got all this variety. All right. Yeah, that's why cats are so different than reptiles. Right. That's why dogs are so different. That's why humans were so different. You know, we stand on 2 feet, and you know, we got this mind, and we have tools, and we think, and we got art and poetry, and we use language to communicate. You know, how come monkeys can't do that? How come dogs can't do that? What's going on? Well, clearly because, you know, we're part of the experiment, and you know, more than one, several groups have interfered with this, and still interfere, by the way. With that's why humans are. You ever wonder why humans are so adaptable? Because how much experiments have been going on in the human, still going on in the human. So we're so adaptable. We're so adaptable because we got all these genetics from all these different groups. You see? And now it's up to you where you want to take this thing. You could take it, get in the immediate state, become a breatharian, live off the prana, because your body's capable of getting energy from the sun, extracting moisture from the atmosphere. Or you could go the other way and install chips in it and just essentially become a robot. It's up to you. It's up to you. There is a reason why this is the most evolved thing right now on land. It's that because, well, you know, there's been enough experimentation going on in here, and so this thing is very adaptable and very capable. Now, I haven't even mentioned the world of dolphins, the world of the ocean, which is 73% of the planet. I haven't even mentioned that yet. Okay, dolphins, fish, right? All kinds of cool things going on in there. All kinds of things that grow in there. Yeah, it's fascinating. Fascinating stuff. So it's not one person or one deity or one god or one group that built the Matrix. It's all of us. It's all of God, because it's God in all these different manifestations. God is the Lyrians, God is the Reptilians, God is the Pledians, God is the Arcturians, God is the Syrians, God is the everything. All different manifestations, all these ET manifestations, all these groups, it's really God at the end of the day, big G God, but not directly, you see? Because the way creation works is the logos, it's like there is the source, and then it like becomes, it's all like, it's a hierarchy very much so. So in a way it is God that created all of it, but from a more technical point of view, it is all these different aspects of God, all these different ET groups interfering, experimenting, creating, destroying, that resulted in this phenomena that we're experiencing at the moment. Beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, thank you to all the Patreons for your support. I love you guys. We have a link if you would like to support us, support this community, support the upcoming idea of the community house. You can support us at Patreon down below in the description. And I will make a video in the near future talking more about this idea. And I love you guys. And there is Saeed Mobayed at Instagram if you want to just message me directly or something. And yeah, that's about it. Until next time, may the force be with you.